G'day everyone, Jason Nunn, Fisherman's Warehouse, Tuckle Marks Point. This Friday's fishing report. Okay, blue sky in the background, guys, but southerly change on its way. We're coming down to Pelican just a moment ago. I tied myself, and you can see that cloud build up, guys, coming in from the south. It's going to be here late this afternoon. Southerly winds into tonight, the odd shower, and then into tomorrow. Same deal. So it actually gets a little bit better into Sunday, and of course Monday and Tuesday as we get into next week, looking pretty good. A bit of an update on what's happening out wide. A lot of current out there, guys, on the shelf at the moment, about 1.5 knots of current, but the temperature has dropped away. There was a big pool of water, probably out in a couple of thousand fathoms last weekend, around about 23 degrees. That's cooled off, but we've had a bit of an upwelling off our part of the coast on the back of that big nor'easters we had with all that heat that we'd been having up until the long weekend. So on the shelf, around about 20 degrees, really faded off quite quickly. But back on the inshore, 17 to 18 degrees, and certainly on the beaches, only hovering in around about 17. You can see here in the channel at the moment a bit of discolour to the water. That's that cooler water coming in, and all of our coastal beaches are actually having the same. A little bit of swell, but cold water. The Texas, yes, there's been definitely some kings down at the Texas and definitely some snapper on the farm, but you're just not going to get there tomorrow. Maybe Sunday, we just got to sort of see. Definitely Monday a better proposition, but the deeper water still producing a lot of good kings and snapper. The inshore fishery, a lot of small reds around inshore, certainly, you know, areas like Moon Island down towards Cavesy, Waibung, but a few mulloway getting caught offshore and a trag. But it's going to be really just have to see what happens in the next few days. If indeed with this southerly, it takes a bit of that coolness out of the water and holds and traps in some warmer water, because it has dropped away very quickly. The beaches, it's a bit of the same, guys. A lot of salmon still on the Belmont Blacksmith stretch, and most of our coastal beaches, certainly Stockton and alike, a couple of tailor, but no real summer species yet. We're not seeing, you know, whiting, brim and dart, which you would normally associate with spring, which just everything's a little bit of a delay. The estuary, however, is where it's going to happen. Sunday night, the first of our, well, this summer's prawn runs, and that's going to be really happening just on dark. It'll run for a week, but we've seen a real build up in the estuary as a result of it. All of our brim and whiting are starting to build in big numbers. Some very good whiting getting caught behind us here on the flats. Obviously tube worms being the pick, but all winter and into spring, there's been a lot of brim around. And of course, with the school holidays, and a good indication that young Cody Broderick, one of our little regulars that's been coming in with his mum, he fished the channel a couple of days ago and got a couple of cracking fish just on prawns. He had a tar one around about 1 kilo and a brim just a tad over 750 grams, so that 3/4 kilo. They're cracking fish. That's the sort of fish that's in the estuary, and that just goes to prove that even just using the old humble prawn, that's the type of fish you're going to get. And this is why these fish are here. This prawn run will be fairly significant, I reckon. We've had a lot of heat, and this big southerly that's going to come through tonight in particular will push a lot of these prawns up out of the back of the lake and get them here ready to run out just after dark. Seeing flathead in the shallows as well, guys. A lot of the guys throwing paddle tails and grub tails, working that shallow water area back through the flats, and certainly Belmont Bay and alike. Some very good flathead around. There's still a few in the deep, so don't disregard your vibes and everything just quite yet. But everything's pushing towards the shallow water. Kingies at the bridge, yes. And they're a big mixture, you know. Some days they're there, some days they're not. There's a few salmon and the odd tailor still getting caught down at the bridge. And now that this traffic is backed off, obviously there's no long weekend, and school goes back next week, you'll see it settle down. The prawn run's going to be an important factor to what goes on at the bridge, because what it'll do, it'll bring a lot more squid back into the channel itself. There's been a few this week, so they're already starting. There's no big amounts, guys, but enough to sort of get out there, get your 5s or 10s, and still have an opportunity to crack a few of these kings, or indeed fish into the estuary itself and chase some of these mulloway that are around. There's quite a lot of mulloway in the estuary, and there's some really nice fish, a lot of small fish in some of the areas like Belmont Bay and alike, but there's some better fish. And as I say, we're moving through this dark cycle now, so I reckon that's going to be a bit of a pick. You're just going to have to see what the weather really sort of does here, guys. Again, we're not quite sure to the strength, but all in all, I think the attention needs to go onto the estuary and really occupy yourself here in the channel, you will get that little bit more protection. And hopefully by this time next week, guys, we'll be able to get offshore and had a bit of a crack. Probably wrap it up for today.